when developing your fitness or your athleticism, these are the priorities that you need to do and their hierarchy. Coach Barrick here, Equity Podcast, giving you the tools to be fit for life. We in the gym, on this podcast, we are trying to focus on building healthy, happy people. That's our goal. And in doing that, we like to focus on sleep, exercise, nutrition, um, connection, and our mindset. We like to think about all those things. When we're developing that exercise, that fitness side of this, we like to have some frameworks to use in order to start building out our fitness and our athleticism. And one of these frameworks we get from the CrossFit Level 1 manual, which is the hierarchy, I'm not good at saying that word, the hierarchy development of an athlete. So what this is a pyramid, and each level is a piece of the puzzle that we need to focus on to develop our fitness, to develop our athleticism. And we're going to go over that today. We even have a nice visual aid. Sorry about hitting the mic. Nice visual aid. So we're going to start at the top and work our way down. So the first one is sport. And what we mean by sport is any kind of movement, any type of activity that we're doing for fun, right? It could be actual sports. It could be ultimate frisbee or baseball or football or softball, field hockey, whatever it is. And when we play sports, we need very specific skills, like very specific. We need to be able to throw a ball in a certain way. We need to be able to hit the ball. We need to be able to do something very specific. How to throw a forehand versus a backhand on ultimate frisbee, right? Super specific skills for that sport. And you can start seeing it's like, yeah, obviously, but in order to be really good at that sport, we probably need some underlying, we need something else as a base. We need some other things that are going to help us be successful at that sport. If we're just really good at throwing, but we can't run down the field without being out of breath, we have an issue, right? So sport is that top one, and that's what most people are shooting for. That's where a lot of people get started. Hey, I want to get better at golf. I want to get better at swimming. I want to be better at these things that I like doing outside. And that's an awesome thing to do. So right underneath of that, we're going to have weightlifting and throwing, right? We need to be strong. We need to be powerful. Weightlifting and throwing. We need to be strong. We need to be powerful. We need to have, there's still some skill in those movements. We need to lift heavy things. When we can learn how to lift heavy things, when we can learn to do weightlifting like the Olympic lifts, that is going to help us translate the power and those mechanics to our sport, right? So if I'm a baseball player and I'm working on throwing and I have a really good technical throw, but if I can build my strength, if I can build my power, I'll be able to throw harder. I'll be able to hit farther. So we want those weightlifting and throwing mechanics. Make sure that we have good mechanics in the gym, and that's going to translate to on the field. Super important. Like, that's why we lift things. That's why we pick up heavy things. The one beneath that is gymnastics. And what we mean by gymnastics, what we mean by gymnastics is moving your body in space. If you cannot move your body in space, if you are not aware of your body, it's going to be very hard to lift loads. If you can't air squat, you're probably not going to be able to back squat. If you can't do a push-up, Getting really heavy on the bench is probably going to be pretty difficult. If you don't have a good awareness of your body, you're probably not going to learn how to throw very well. We need to understand how our body works. We need to be able to feel it and tell it what to do. Being strong in our gymnastics, having a good gymnastic background, a good body awareness background is going to let us do those other things much better. Right? You think about those crazy catches in the NFL. Those wide receivers have very good body awareness. Doing box jumps, right? That's a gymnast. You're just moving your body. That's going to help with power output. That's going to help with throwing. That's going to help with the weightlifting, right? If we don't have that gymnastic base, if we don't know how to move our body, the weightlifting and throwing is going to suffer. It's not going to be there. And then that's not going to be there for the skill of the sport as well, right? See how it layers on top of each other. We need this before that. All right, then the next one is metabolic conditioning, Metcon. If you can't go up the steps without breathing heavy, all those other things are going to suffer. If we don't have a base level of metabolic conditioning, all of the other things are going to be very difficult to train. If we can't do things without breathing heavy, if we don't have any stamina, working gymnastics, building the strength of gymnastics is going to be very difficult. If I don't have those things, a heavy set of 10 back squat is going to be very difficult if you get winded after 2 or 3. Right? We need that base level of conditioning in order to do those things, right? If you can't go out for a walk, it's going to be really hard for you to lift something heavy, right? It's probably not safe for you to do that. We need a base. And that's why in our programming, when we're working out at the gym, the Metcon is the base. That is our base movement for the physical side of things. So this Metcon, we need some of that conditioning. We need to be able to, that stamina, that conditioning on both sides, not just stamina as in like being able to work out for a long period of time, but stamina and muscle stamina, right? We need gymnastics. We need to be aware of our body in space. We need that gymnastic strength. We need weightlifting. We need that barbell strength. We need to be able to throw. And then finally, we have that sport, living life, climbing up the ladder, cleaning out the gutters. All of that. You can focus on all of those things, and we need to, but without the last one, nothing else is possible. And this is where we're trying to put a lot more attention into our members and our sphere of influence because we don't put enough attention into it. If you say you do CrossFit and you're not doing this thing, you're not doing CrossFit. Doing just Metcons and AMRAPs and doing those things, that's part of it. But this is the base. If you're not doing this thing, all the other things don't matter. This, you can't outwork this. And that's nutrition. You have to have nutrition. If we're not doing that, we're just spinning our wheels. It's going to catch up to you eventually. It might not right now, but down the road, it's going to catch up to you. This weightlift, exercising, doing the workouts, I believe is the cornerstone. That is generally where we want to start. Because when we can start working out, it's going to bleed into everything else. But if we don't address nutrition, things aren't going to get better. They're not going to be as good as they could be. So what do we need to focus on with nutrition? We need to focus on eating real whole food, eating balanced meals, right? When we're getting protein, fat, and carbohydrates every single meal. We want to focus on limiting processed and added sugars, processed food and added sugars, limiting that, right? We want to eat uh, meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar, little sugar. We want to eat real whole food, mostly plants, not too much, right? Those are three different camps of eating, but they're all essentially saying the same thing, right? The eat meat and vegetables, that's CrossFit's standard in the 100 words of fitness, how to define fitness. The other one is our HSN, our healthy habits, nutrition, healthy steps, nutrition, right? That is the real whole food, balanced meals, limit the processed and added sugar. The mostly eat real whole food, mostly plants, not too much. That's Michael Pollan right out of his book, right? And all three of these are great frameworks and they're all essentially saying the same thing. We need to eat our protein. We need to limit the processed stuff. We need to be mindful of our portions. We need to be mindful of what we're actually putting into our bodies. If we're not doing that, we're not going to see the results that we want to see. When we add the nutrition side as the base, that's when things start getting crazy. That's when we really start seeing results. So, when we're developing and we're trying to think about, hey, where we are in that hierarchy, this is just where we put our importance. Hey, this is going to be the main focus, and then we work our way up from there. Now, some people might have an advantage in one over the other, right? Maybe I was a cross country runner, so my Metcon is super high. So for me, I need to work on my strength. So I might spend some extra time on the weightlifting side, right? It depends where you are at. This is just the general, this is the framework that you want to use as the base. But if you have one that's better than the other, maybe we need to move that around. And this is also like this, the way we train is to support your life. It's just not, hey, I want to be the best worker outer. It's this is going to support my life so I can go surfing, so I can go rock climbing, so I can pick up the kids, so I can play on the floor with the kids, so I can chase the dog down the street, so I can do the yard work, so I can garden and get down into the dirt and sit on the ground and reach up into the shed and get the stuff. We do this to support our life, to have a balance in what we are doing, so we can be a person and do anything that we want to do. Hope this was helpful. If you think this might be helpful for somebody else, please share it with them. If you liked it, please like it. Our goal by sharing it, by liking it, it helps us reach more people. And that's our goal. We want to help more people. We want more happy, healthy people in the world. So thanks so much for spending some time adding a tool to your toolbox. Cheers.